The Battle Arena is back, and this time our teams are getting up close and personal. 2 teams enter, but only one can be victorious, and there'll only be one champion left by the end of the day. Hello and welcome to the Pro Dice Tour, brought to you by the Dice Sports Network. As we reach the halfway point of the inaugural season of the Pro Dice Tour, we have the Arena Showdown lined up for you today. The rules are simple. 2 teams spin around the arena and the highest score wins. There's a lot riding on today's event for many of the teams. The Brown Bears currently in the top spot, and the Grim Reapers looking to turn around their fortune after a stellar performance last week. Today we'll begin with a group stage where the winner of each group moves on to the semi-finals. There are the groups. They've been seeded according to the current overall standings. And there are your team lineups. You'll notice a lot of captains in the list today. Many teams looking to their most experienced members to get it done. Plenty of fans in the house as usual today. The Outer Spaces had a disastrous outing last week, and we might need a translator for that one. We just hope the message is television friendly. It looks like the arena is all set, so we're ready to get underway with Group A. Brown Bears, Straight Shooters, and Team Perfection in Group A. The first contest of the day will be between the Brown Bears and Team Perfection. Off they go, and as they come to a stop, it looks like the Brown Bears have come out on top here. In the replay, we can see both teams get a good start here, and then the Brown Bears really start applying some pressure as they spin around. And as they come to a stop, Pounce is only able to post a 1, so the Brown Bears will take this down 8-6. And our competition leaders are off to a good start. Team Perfection now going to take on the Straight Shooters. They really need to win this one. They're underway and given a decent spin here. Who will come out on top? It is a tie. That looks like 8-8 for Team Perfection and the Straight Shooters. So they'll both be awarded 1 point here as we see the official score. This means Team Perfection are out of contention. The Straight Shooters can still advance in first if they're able to beat the Brown Bears. Off they go for the final round of Group A, and who's it going to be? It's the Brown Bears. That looks like a final score of 8-3. So the Brown Bears, the group favorites and current overall leader of the Pro Dice Tour, will move on to the semifinals undefeated. There are the official results. The Straight Shooters finishing ahead of Team Perfection on point difference. But with 1 point apiece, we'll have to see where they end up in the final standings. With Group A out of the way, it's time to move on to Group B. Team Fantastic, last week's champions, the Grim Reapers and the High Rollers in Group B. Team Fantastic and the High Rollers will be first to take to the arena. Off they go, and they're spinning furiously as they come to a stop. It looks like a low-scoring battle here, but the High Rollers will take it. 5-3. Ellie and Horton unable to muster up much of a score here, and Team Fantastic will have to win their next encounter and hope to get lucky if they wish to advance. High Rollers and the Grim Reapers now setting up in the arena. The High Rollers can take it down right here. Off they go, and it looks like a fair bit of contact. When the dust settles, it is the High Rollers who come out on top 8-4. Slash finishes awkwardly angled up against the wall, but that's still going to count as a 2. So the High Rollers, yet to win a medal so far in the Pro Dice Tour, will advance to the semi-finals. So Team Fantastic and the Grim Reapers will not be winning a medal, but they have to remain focused because there are still plenty of points to be earned outside the top 4. Team Fantastic throwing their weight around, and it will be good enough. Horton not contributing much, but they will take down this one 6-3. There are your Group B results. Team Fantastic currently the best of the rest, and we'll see the High Rollers again later today in the semi-finals. Group C now ready to go with the Night Rangers, Sweethearts and the D20s. Night Rangers fans have not had too much to celebrate since the first week of the Pro Dice Tour, but perhaps they can get something done here today in Group C. We've been informed that our sound crew is set up near to the arena for this role, so let's listen in and see what's really happening out there on the field. A lot of grinding there, the sound of intense competition. And the Night Rangers will take this one quite convincingly, taking down the D20s by a score of 10-3. That will put them in good shape if this group does come down to point difference. D20s and the Sweethearts now ready for the second match. D20s must win this one to have a chance. Off they go, and they're high up on the walls as they come down. The Sweethearts have done it. In fact, the D20s have been wiped off the map once again. That's a score of 10-5, so the D20s are not going to finish with a very good point difference here. And as we go into the final match, a tie will not be good enough for the Sweethearts. They must win here. Night Rangers only need to tie to progress. A lot of momentum here. You can see the arena shaking, and it's victory for the Sweethearts. 7-5. And Cupid and Cutie have delivered for their team here and will carry them through to the semi-finals. And that's how things have wrapped up in Group C. The Sweethearts will advance. And yikes, that's a rough point difference for the D20s. Taking two one-sided losses is not what the team was looking for today. Group D will be the final part of the round-robin stage today. We've got the Psychedelics, the Halloweeners, and the Outer Spaces. Psychedelics are favored to advance, but anything can happen out there in the battle arena. The Outer Spaces sending their captain Zorg today, and they'll be facing off against the Psychedelics first. Good momentum here from both teams, and when they come to a stop, Buzz just manages to hang on for a 4 there at the end. Great control from the Psychedelics captain, and it looks as though they will take this one down. The score is 8-6, and the Outer Spaces will need to bounce back quickly if they want to have a chance of advancing here. Freya and Glinda now join the Outer Spaces in the arena. Off they go, and there's hats and broomsticks flying everywhere here. As they come to a stop, the Halloweeners have done enough. 9-3, with the Outer Spaces captain only able to post a 1. And the Outer Spaces are once again out of luck. Halloweeners and the Psychedelics now, the final roll of Group D will decide who advances. The arena is off and they're maintaining good distance and balance here as they come to a stop. Oh dear, that's a pair of 1s for the Halloweeners. In fact, the Halloweeners started off displaying a pair of 1s and somehow ended up in the same place. Let's take a look at exactly how that happened. They seem to be holding their ground nicely here. The Psychedelics, of course, no strangers to centrifugal force. But as they come to a halt, the Halloweeners just caught at an awkward moment. Lucy there also finishing in a bit of an awkward position, but she has rolled a 6, which is more than enough to put the Psychedelics through to the next round, after a convincing victory against the Halloweeners. Halloweeners will still take second spot in Group D, and what has now become a familiar name in a familiar position at the bottom of those standings. So there are your semi-finalists getting ready for the next stage of the competition, which will be conducted in a best-of-3 format. So stamina is going to come into play here, as we see it will be the Brown Bears versus Psychedelics and the High Rollers versus the Sweethearts. And first in the arena, we do have the Psychedelics and the Brown Bears. Not much of a rest for the Psychedelics after qualifying from Group D. Off they go, they're pushing the arena to its limits here, and we've got some big scores. It looks as though the Psychedelics have struck first here with a huge victory to get themselves on the board. The Brown Bears under pressure now, can they bring it back? Fuzzy and Gummy are not going to give it up that easily. The Brown Bears are fierce fighters and they're giving it their all, and they've clawed their way back. A disappointing effort from the Psychedelics, both teams unable to match their first round performance, and we will go to a decider. Our athletes getting some advice from the rest of their teams before they get back in the arena. The Brown Bears currently leading the Pro Dice Tour, with the Psychedelics 10 points behind in 4th. Both of them would love to add another medal to their collection today. And perhaps symbolic of that competitive spirit, both teams displaying a 12 here as they get ready to spin. Off they go, and they're neck and neck spinning around the arena. No one wants to give an inch. And we've got another tie. So I believe we'll need to go to countback to determine the victor. Let's take another look at that final roll as our officials work out the scores. Teams maintaining good distance at first. There's a little bit of contact there between Gummy and Lucy, I believe. And as the arena slows down, both teams manage to hang on and post the exact same score. I believe it's a 5 and a 3 on both sides. So after a win apiece and a tie, it is the Brown Bears, 24-22. A very close semi-final here, but the Psychedelics only able to post 3 in the second round, and that has come back to haunt them, unfortunately. But they will be back to fight for the bronze medal later today. So we move on to semi-final B, the High Rollers and the Sweethearts. Both teams scoring relatively easy victories in the group stage, so hopefully they'll have enough energy to give the playoffs their best shot. The High Rollers, of course, with the brother duo of the captain Big B and Little B. The Sweethearts, without the guidance of their captain today, could that be the deciding factor? Off they go in round 1 with some good momentum. Who can hold it together under pressure? Oh, it's very close. Just a 1-point difference separating the teams here. But the Sweethearts take the first round 8-7. One more win and they're through to the final, so it's up to the High Rollers to turn it around here. From the side angle, you can see how fast our athletes are spinning in there, and when they come to a stop, the High Rollers are not done yet. A 3 on both sides, but Big B coming in huge with the 6 to keep his team's medal hopes alive. And with that score difference, I believe the Sweethearts will need to win the final round outright. For the High Rollers, a tie will be good enough to secure the win on countback. A lot of pressure goes on the teams now. High Rollers fans will be sitting on the edge of their seats. Their team finished 4th in Event 2, but have not been near the podium outside of that. Both teams opting to display the maximum for the starting position. Off they go here, and they're spinning at whirlwind speed. Who can hold it together? It looks like, oh, it's very close. In fact, it looks like they've managed to tie. Both scores on the lower end, but that's 5 apiece, and I believe the High Rollers will advance here on countback, beating out the Sweethearts by 4 points overall. And High Rollers fans will be ecstatic. Their team will finally be winning a medal today. The only question that remains is which one. We'll have the answer to that question later, but for now it's the bronze medal playoff. Only one of these teams will be walking away with a medal. Both teams, in fact, already have a bronze to their name. The Psychedelics are silver to go along with it, but both teams would love a podium finish here. Off they go, and it's some good clean spinning. The Psychedelics are applying good pressure, but in the end it is the Sweethearts who will strike first with a huge score, taking down the Psychedelics 11-8. Psychedelics also managing to roll a 6, but they've been defeated here. Can the Sweethearts close it out, or will we go to a decider? Off they go, and both teams coming in all guns blazing. They're high up on the edges, and I see 2 5s. And that's going to be all she wrote for the Psychedelics. The Sweethearts are your bronze medal winners with our first 2-0 victory of the playoffs so far. Let's take another look at how that went down. You can see the Psychedelics pressuring the Sweethearts here in the early stages, getting right up on their tail. But Cutie and Cupid have managed to keep their cool. And a nice bit of control there from Cutie at the end manages to secure the win. And the Sweethearts will podium for the second time here in the Pro Dice Tour, the team coming out to celebrate, perhaps ruining what might have been in the semi-final earlier, but they put in a convincing performance to take down the Psychedelics. There are your finalists, Fuzzy, Gummy, Big B and Small B, both teams represented by their captains today. Of course, being in medal contention, not an unfamiliar situation for the Brown Bears. As our competition leaders, they've already racked up a gold and a silver. High Rollers yet to win a medal, so there must be some nerves coming into this final. If you're just joining us, this is the grand final, a best of 3 between the Brown Bears and the High Rollers. We're ready for round 1, so let's get underway. They're off and spinning furiously. The High Rollers putting in good work here, but it's not going to be enough. A very close result, but the Brown Bears are first on the board with a score of 7-6. As expected, neither team wanting to give an inch here, but a lot of pressure falls on the High Rollers now. The Brown Bears have the opportunity to close it out in 2. Team members coming together to discuss strategy for the next round. But when they get out there in the arena, they are all on their own. The Brown Bears bringing plenty of raw power. The High Rollers bringing a lot of experience in hitting key roles when it counts. Off we go in round 2, and you can see the arena pushed to the brink by all this power. It's close again, but the High Rollers will not be denied. And we're going to a third round, folks, 9-7. And that actually gives the High Rollers a 1-point lead going into the final round. Teams come back together. There's a lot of tension out there. I imagine they can barely hear a word over the sound of the crowd. High Rollers fans struggling to hold it together, but hoping that their team can out on the field. So it all comes down to one final roll. The Brown Bears must win. For the High Rollers, a tie will be good enough for gold. And we're off on the final roll of the day. They're having a real go at it, and then no one wants to lose this one. And as the dust settles, we have a new champion. The High Rollers have done it. Big B and Little B have completed the comeback here, defeating the Brown Bears by a score of 2-1, 11-7 in the final round, a convincing victory. And what a way to finish the day. Let's see how this went down in the replay. High Rollers a little slow out of the gates, but once again you can see them pressuring the Brown Bears here, not letting them execute their strategy. Fuzzy looks a little flustered, caught between the two brothers. And as the arena winds down and we see them come to a stop, the High Rollers find perfect balance here at the end. Both teams rolling a 5, but the High Rollers have a 6 to go with it. And that is going to be good enough for a gold medal. There is confirmation as the High Rollers come out to celebrate. Incredible courage shown by the team today. The High Rollers lost the first round in both the semi-final and the final, but they managed to hold their nerve and bring it back in some thrilling finishes. The Brown Bears gallant in defeat, and they really pushed the High Rollers to the limit today. There are your final standings. The Psychedelics denied a spot on the podium, and the Night Rangers will take away 8 points as the best of the rest. Our athletes now back in the stadium again for the medal ceremony. And it is sweet victory for the High Rollers. Little B and the captain Big B living up to the team's name today. After struggling in the Pro Dice Tour so far, they claim their first medal, which means we have 5 different winners in each of the events in the first half of the competition. That is how things stand as we move into the second half. The Brown Bears now open up a 10-point lead over Team Fantastic, and the High Rollers up to 5th, only 6 points away from a spot on the final podium. But there's still a lot of action to come here in the Pro Dice Tour, and things could get shaken up greatly over the coming weeks. Thank you for joining us today as the Pro Dice Tour reaches its halfway point, and we look forward to bringing you more action as the competition heads towards an exciting conclusion. Join us next time for Event 6.